Hello everyone, I'm Eric the Wizard, and welcome to my channel, Modern Christian Occultist. This is my second video playing this The Bible game I found on Steam. I made the first one as just kind of a low-effort video to play this game that I basically haven't played yet and bought, and I actually got some really sweet feedback from people about it, which really made me happy, and I definitely want to keep doing this because this exposed some blind spots in my current Bible knowledge, I guess. I mean, I'm aware of some pretty big ones I have, and I'm trying to work on that. Like, I know I was intentionally taught very little about the Apostle Paul, just due to the personal beliefs and what people were comfortable with at my church. So I'm trying to correct that blind spot on my own. But here, for example, I'm learning about stuff, and I can't tell if it's from the Old Testament or if it's from Apocrypha, so this is definitely a helpful tool for me in my faith journey. And I think it would be fun to do the other two trivia games you can do without having read through a book. Once I complete all of those, I'm probably going to just click through books on here to do the trivia for them, because I've been keeping track on my own of what books of the Bible I've read all the way through and which ones I haven't. I talked a little bit in my video about the East-Air connection in Genesis and just throughout the Bible in relation to Jesus, about how I've been trying to read through the Bible this year, and I'm kind of following a weird plan where I'm reading the weekly Torah portion along with Jewish people. So I'm gonna slowly get through the first 5 books of the Bible, the books of Moses, throughout the entire year, but then on my own I'm reading through just other books, whatever book I feel like reading. So like today I finished reading through Paul's letter to the Romans. So with that, it's kind of just when I finish reading a book, I mark it as complete. Obviously, I read other stuff too. Like whenever I come across a Bible quote in a meme or in an online debate, I go and read the full chapter to get context for what people were claiming, but I don't really count that because that's not reading the whole book in order, and even reading just a chapter, you're taking stuff out of context. So, just knowing what books I've read, I'll then try to do the quizzes for those and see how much I retained. Obviously, this isn't a good measure of, what you get out of the Bible, like beating some quiz. What ultimately matters is that the way you think about yourself and others and God, and the way that you treat yourself and others and God changes for the better. So whether or not you memorize all the little names and fun facts, whatever, that doesn't matter at all. But it matters to me because I like playing silly games, and let's see with these 2 quizzes. The first one I did, I only missed 1 question. The second one I did not do very well. So let's see if today, if these 2 quizzes are more in line with the first or the second, because even though this doesn't matter, it matters to me. I know, I like them yellow. Okay. Who did Esther marry? I remember she married the king, and he's often referred to as King Xerxes. And I think this would be Xerxes because it's the same syllable, like repeated twice. Okay. Yeah, I'm really used to, I guess localized versions of everyone's names. How did David prove his loyalty to King Saul? This did not happen. That was Samuel. I know he played music for Saul to keep Saul from being tormented by God, but I forget if that's how it was. It could have been vowed to protect Jonathan. I know David killed Goliath, but I forget where that happened. This is actually why I don't count a lot of books in the Bible as books that I've read, even if I've actually read every single part of them. If I haven't read them in order, I don't know the order of things, which that's such a nothing thing to say. Obviously, if I didn't do something in order, I don't know the order of it, but it does matter, because it matters, well, what did someone know when they were making this decision? Like, did they... Obviously, they would know of all previous events, but I need to know which events were previous and which events were future, and... I don't know, I'm gonna guess this, literally just because I think this is a trick, and this probably happened too early. No, Okay, well, this shows you I need to actually read 1st and 2nd Samuel in order, which that is a goal of mine. I just haven't gotten there yet. Who hid treasure in their tent, causing God to punish all of Israel? It's not Uriah, because that's someone that David killed, I think. Yeah, it was David. I honestly thought it was a woman, because didn't she, like, sit on the treasure in her saddle and then say that she was menstruating so they didn't check? I'm not sure. This name looks familiar, so I'm picking this name. Okay, well, I actually might not know the answer to most of these. I think I just kind of vaguely know stuff. How much was Judas paid for betraying Jesus? It was 30 silver. What? Oh, maybe it wasn't shekels, it was pieces. I should have read that better. I'll replay it and see if it was that. What did Lot offer to be? It was his daughters. That's just terrible, but it was his daughters. Just like Peter. Gethsemane, I think. Yeah. It was an ear, and then Jesus healed it. But also, I think in some of the Gospels they don't specify it was Peter, they just say one of the disciples did it, which is kind of funny. I don't know, I know at the beginning of this video I was like, yeah, Paul is a major blind spot of mine, now they're asking me this. I kind of want to say 3 or 4, because 2 or 3 sounds too little, but everything else sounds like a comically high amount. Which I'm aware he was traveling, like, all over the Gentile world, so he probably spent a lot of time on ships and was therefore much more likely to get in a shipwreck. But, like, more than 4 sounds a little bit insane. Okay, good. I'd feel so embarrassed if it was like, no, Eric, he got shipwrecked 9 times. Like, how do you not know this? Okay, I forget if this actually depends on the gospel or not. Because they're asking it without referring to a certain gospel, that leads me to believe it's the same among all of them. But for some reason, I have like a nagging feeling it's different in different gospels. I know it's water to wine, because I know in one of the gospels, I forget which one, Jesus' mother Mary asks him to do this, and he's like, it's not time for me to do this yet. But then he does it anyway, and that's his first, because technically it wasn't like the time for him to start doing signs to people yet as miracles, but he still did. I'm so glad that's right. If I went on that big speech and then it was wrong, I'd feel so bad. Oh golly, I don't know. I know there were 2 times. I also know one of the 2 times they only counted the men in attendance, and the other time they counted everyone, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna say 8,000. Okay, that was wrong. Oh, lamb blood. Which, if you're Christian, you believe kind of the same thing happened for us when Jesus was crucified. I literally just think it's this one, because these 3 have to be wrong based on geography. Yeah. I didn't remember that, I just knew what it wasn't. Assume... I think it was either John or Joseph. I know it's a J. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no. I honestly don't know this one. This is a blind spot. I'm just gonna guess John. Okay. Yeah, this isn't going too well. He killed their taskmaster. Third. The difficulty of these is not equal. Like, I'm aware there's no such thing as common knowledge, and different people know different things. But I think, like, almost every Christian would probably know that Jesus rose on the 3rd day, where I think most Christians probably wouldn't know some of these, so, like, the difficulty is not consistent at all. Moses' mother. It was Miriam. No, wait, no. I think Miriam was his sister. Maybe it was Rebecca? I think it's Rebecca. Oh, maybe it was Miriam. Darn, I shouldn't... I'm gonna retake this quiz. not immediately after. I'll retake it after I take the other one. But I think 2 of these I got wrong, but I know the real answer. Again, that not equivalent difficulty. Okay, well, 2 things poured from Jesus' side when he was pierced with a spear, blood and water. So, I hope both of them are counted as correct, because if they're not, that's unfair. That being said, I'm going to pick water because I think the way the question is worded, the obvious answer is blood, and someone who doesn't know the answer would pick blood, because that's what happens when you're stabbed. So I think what they're getting at is water, because that's what you don't expect to come out of someone. I don't know if I had clicked blood, I don't know if that would also have been counted, but both came out of him. I'm pretty sure. If not, if it was just water that came out, the reason I'm getting this wrong is there's that whole genre of paintings where Jesus is depicted with the blue and the red, like, beams coming out of him, and that's supposed to symbolize water and blood. So I'm sure anyone listening to this has seen one of these paintings in their life, because it literally is like an entire genre of painting, where there was like a really well-known one made, and then everyone copies it. If you go to like a Goodwill or something right now, there's probably one that someone's like grandma or aunt made that's now up for donation. Like everyone's seen one of these. Here's an image. Golden calf. I like the other options though; those were cute, like obsidian Goliath. Then Mr. Hair to watch you speak. Mary. It was a Mary, so I'm gonna pick Mary Magdalene. I didn't remember it was that Mary, but yeah. Okay, it was her. This game is good for identifying blind spots. So Saint Peter, because he did not think he was deserving to be crucified in the same way as his Lord, so he asked for it to be done upside down. It was an even number. I think 12. I think he sent 1 spy from each tribe. I'd also believe 10, because I could imagine not sending like a Levite, right? Because they were doing priests. I think it's 12. Okay. If I had gotten that wrong when I replayed it, I would just pick 10. I knew it was even because they were in groups of 2. Who wrote the Book of Timothy? Paul. But I think this is one of the books that it's debated if Paul wrote it. Not sure though, that could be wrong. Okay, I got 20 out of 25. That's not bad, but that's not good either. That means I missed 1/5, which if I were guessing randomly, I don't know what percentage I would have gotten, so this is a little bit worrisome. Yes, it's my personal best. It's because I've never done it before. Alrighty, let's do the other trivia that I have unlocked, and then after that, I'm gonna go back to this one, and then depending on how this one goes, I might do that one again, and then that'll be it for today. But then I'll probably come in and start doing maybe like 2 chapters. Depending on how many questions a chapter has, I might start making videos where I'll just go over like 2 chapters that I've read this year and see if I remember them. Let's go. It was Rahab, which she was not Jewish, and I think a lot of people who talk about like converts and talk about like non-Jewish people helping the Jewish community, they reference her, which she's really cool. Oh, I don't know this, and I should know this because I have a Protestant parent and a Catholic parent. I actually have 2 Protestant Bibles next to me right now, so I could cheat and look, but I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna guess 66. Oh, okay, I was right. Cool, we did it. Who was tasked? I don't know. I don't think it was Ezekiel or Isaiah. Wait, these are all prophets. I did not know any prophet was tasked with doing that. I'm gonna pick Jeremiah just at random. Okay, cool. Let me separate. This is... I like 3. I think it's either 3 or 4. I know he got arrested often, but also he was a Roman citizen, so he was able to avoid certain types of like persecution, I think including arrest, that other early Christians couldn't. Let's just say 3. Okay, cool. Philistine idol. I don't know. I want to say Molech. I don't know why. I just feel like saying it. But also, it would make sense if Ashtoreth, which I'd assume that's related to like Astarte, right? If this is also related to Asherah, like the former consult, not I shouldn't say former, the consult of El, I think that would make sense too. But if this isn't related to Asherah, I don't think that would make sense. I'm, hmm. I really am torn between these two, between Moloch and Astoreth. I'm gonna choose this just to find out if maybe this is related to Asherah. Okay, it was probably Moloch then. Interesting. What was Zacchaeus'? I think he was a tax collector. Yeah. It's one of those stories you hear as a kid. Oh wow. I've never heard of this story. um, I actually find this really funny. This kind of sounds like when Americans talk about Taft and like building the bigger bathtub for him. I don't know what king was so fat that a sword disappeared into him. I might pick Amon just because that sounds like a kingly name, because I know Magog, that's from Revelation, I'm pretty sure, which I don't think someone got stabbed in Revelation. Okay, well, it wasn't Amon either. I gotta learn about that one again. Oh, Thomas. That's why he's called Doubting Thomas. What does the Bible say? I think it says a huge fish. As a kid, I was always taught it was a whale, but I think it says a huge fish. I know some people identify the huge fish with Leviathan, so this is actually kind of a sneaky trick question. I have no idea what they think the right answer is. I think the right answer is huge fish. Okay, cool. What was the name of the place? I think it was Golgotha, right? The place of the skull? My mistake. Necromancer, which what they're referring to is the Witch of Endor. And necromancy is forbidden in the it's forbidden in the Bible, but King Saul visited and had the shade of the dead, of some dead person, I forget who. They had their shade removed from them so they could leave Sheol, and I remember that language really stuck with me, because I thought, well, what is the shade? And I still think about that. And when the Apostle Paul breaks down the soul into like three parts, like the spirit, the soul, and I think the mind or whatever, I wonder, it's like, well, is the shade something that divides those up, or that obscures one or more of those? That's just something I need to do searching for on my own. But I think the answer is necromancer, and I think in this context, a necromancer is someone who removes the shade from the dead so that they can talk to you, be with us. Not, the modern pop culture meaning where they reanimate the dead. Why did Samson? I didn't even know Samson lit 300 foxes on fire, so I don't know. My guess would be either to light a battlefield or to burn down enemy crops, because I'm pretty sure that foxes are not a clean offering, so I don't think that can be true. And I don't think this can be true, because that sounds stupid. I'm gonna say burn down enemy crops, because then it's kind of similar to what St. Olga did with the pigeons. Okay, cool. So God's people have always been using arson. Very nice. Jesus, Peter. That's what Peter means. Peter and Simon both mean rock. I think it's the Queen of Sheba, because I've heard of that. It can't be the Queen of Israel, because she can't visit Solomon, because she'd live with Solomon. So, okay, cool. How did King Saul die? I think he either died of old age or fell on his sword. I think he fell on his sword, right? Because he was tormented with the evil spirit God sent. Like, I think he killed himself. I could also imagine him being assassinated because God was not with him, you know, to protect him. I think it was this. Okay, cool. I was right. Solomon's solution. Cut it in half. I remember this. Here's where Paul's sight. I had forgotten. Well, I guess it's Jesus. I was about to say I'd forgotten that Paul had lost his sight, but then I think it was very temporary. Like, it was part of his vision, right? Where, like, on the road to Damascus, first he was blinded by God, and then his sight was returned. So I don't think it was, like, another person. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. Well, like I said, Paul is a blind spot for me that I have identified, and I'm really gonna try to learn a lot about the Apostle Paul this summer, which I just finished reading through Romans. I've watched a lot of YouTube video essays both about Paul altogether, both on him as a person, how to read his works, but also specifically on Romans to sort of help guide me through it. And next, I'm probably going to just do Ephesians, 'cause that's next in my Bible. I might pick a different one, though, if someone has a letter of Paul, it's their favorite, and they really recommend it, I'll read that one next, because then we can talk about it, which I'd enjoy doing that. But yeah, I really got to work through his letters this summer and just kind of learn about Paul. Solomon! I know this one. This isn't a blind spot. Mother Mary. Once again, these don't all seem to be equal difficulty. Oh, it was, I think it was Simeon. There were two people. There was a prophetess who had lived in the temple for a very long time after her husband died, I think, like a widow. She recognized him, and so did this old guy who was like, God promised me that before I died I'd see the Messiah, and now I can go die because I've seen this baby. I think it was Simeon, but I honestly, when I read the question before I read the answers, I thought, well, I'm just going to pick the only female name because I remember it was a woman. But no, there was also the old guy. I forgot about that. Okay, cool, it was Simeon. Let's go, gang. Which apostle was the first to be martyred? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I kind of want to pick Peter because he was crucified. So I feel like that's maybe closer in time period to Jesus. Okay, it was not Peter. What did you... Oh, he gave him a kiss. I remember that. Seals, 7. And if you're a weirdo like me, you wonder, is that one seal per classical planet? And a lot of people have thought about that. So, you know, maybe. I just this last school year, I shouldn't say this last school year because I just graduated. In order to graduate, I did a Jewish Studies capstone project for one of my 3 majors, Jewish Studies, on astrology. And now when I'm reading the Bible, I see a lot of stuff that to me is like screaming astrology. And if it's in the Hebrew Bible, you know, I can go on to Sepharia and I can select that verse or that chapter and look at all the times it's mentioned, like in the Talmud and the Midrash or whatever, and I can see it's like, have rabbis historically linked this to astrology? Because if they have, then I'm onto something. And if they haven't, then I'm looking for a pattern where there isn't one. Because, like, not every mention of 7 has to do with the planets, obviously. But when I'm in the New Testament, I'm just out of luck. Because I haven't really found, like, Christian Bible commentaries about astrology in a favorable way, which makes sense. Because I think that's probably a minority opinion. So when I see a 7 in the New Testament, all I can do is like look up, hey, does this have to do with astrology? And what always happens is, you know, some people out there will say it does and others will say it doesn't, and then it comes down to discernment because you know, it's like, well, do you think it is? And if, like, when I say you, I ask myself, like, well, do you really think this means that, or are you just wanting it to mean that? And then also the ways people talk about what they think, you kind of know. Like, you can tell, is this someone who every time they see 7 they say it's astrology, or is this someone who, like, actually did research and they looked into it and, like, yeah, they sincerely think this is about astrology. So yeah, I personally right now at this moment in time think the 7 seals are related to the 7 classical planets, but My opinion on that could definitely change, and I'm not telling anyone listening to this to hold that belief. I'm just sharing that's a belief I have, and I guess practice discernment and figure out for yourself if you think that's the case. The answer to this one is parables. I just wanted to talk about astrology because if you spend an entire school year, which is like 9 months, if you spend 9 months studying a certain topic in depth, you're going to want to talk about it to anyone who will listen. And very few people want to listen on the astrology thing. It's parables. What does Jesus command his followers to do of him? Communion. I think I got the exact same score on these last two, which I don't think I could do this one any better. I do think I could do the previous one better, because I think Moses' mom is named Miriam, I guess, which I did not think so. I thought that was his sister, but I'll select Miriam and see if that's the case. Unless I was asking about his sister and I just misread it as mom. And I also think Judas got 30 silver pieces, not 30 silver shekels, and I just clicked the wrong things. I was going too fast, and I was trying to show off, and, whatever. So let's see if I can do better than 20. Who did Esther marry? Xerxes. Yeah, I need to learn his real name. I'm so used to the Bible that everyone has adapted all the names so that English readers can read them, I'm gonna guess killed Goliath. Or it could have been playing music. See, I thought he did it by getting, 500 Philistine foreskins, and that's not an answer, and now I think I'm confusing that with something else. I'm gonna say played music, actually. Okay, well then I guess it was killing Goliath. I'm not gonna play this a third time, I'm just gonna take the L. I think I got this wrong too, unless it was Achan, I forgot. I'm just gonna pick him again and see. Okay, it was him. I'll try to remember that. Oh golly. Yeah, pieces. I literally just saw 30 silver and clicked. I wasn't thinking. Alrighty. Peter. It is kind of funny, like, some names pick up steam and others don't. Like, if you get called a doubting Thomas, like, yeah, that's a thing you call people. I don't think anyone ever gets called, like, a denying Peter or something. Like, why aren't there, like, other biblical insults? It was 3 or 4. Okay, I got torn between 3 or 4 or 2 or 3. I am grateful that with both of these I knew, if I didn't know, I could make an educated guess for 20 out of the 25. But that's still just like, I'm surprised that there's a 5th where I'm just like, I don't know. I forget if I got this one right or not, but I know I picked this. I might pick it again, because I don't remember if I got it right or not last time. Okay, that one was wrong. Fiddle. Once again, I forgot. I remember that I guessed for this one, but I forget if my guess was right or wrong, so I'm just gonna guess the same thing. Okay. Poo on that. Most skillful thing in Egypt. Not only are the questions in the same order each time, and they're the same question each time, but the answers are in the same position each time. So someone could just memorize that. I don't think I have the mental capacity to do that, but, like, someone could. Like, I mean, when you see people in the speedrunning community, they can do amazing things that I could never do. Like, I bet someone could speedrun this game. I don't know if there is a speedrunning category for it. I probably should look that up, but, like, you probably could. I'm gonna pick Miriam. Okay, that was also false. That was his sister. Okay, I just don't know his mother's name then. That's on me. I am gonna beat my score because I got the silver thing right, but I think the rest of these... I think I'm literally gonna get 21 out of 25. I think that's the best I can do. I'm half tempted to pick blood to see if it's also counted, but I don't want to mess with my score, so I'm just gonna pick water again. I know this shouldn't matter to me, but it does. I like video games. I like the reward of, you know, a digital, you did a good job, here's a star. I recently, a few months ago, I got into a self-care app that kind of gamifies taking care of yourself, and for that same reason, I really like it, because it reminds me to, like, brush my teeth and take my meds every day, and to, like, make my bed, and I've also added on um, spooky woo-woo stuff, like if there's certain rituals I need to do once a week or once a day or whatever, I add them to the app so I get the little game reward for doing them, which I know is bad, because I know doing these things, the reward should come from them themselves. I should do things because I want to do them and feel genuinely good after I do them. And a lot of the time, I do feel that way, but it feels even better when a little virtual video game guy is like, good job, you did it, you know? Um, I don't know. I have been way better at brushing my teeth than I've been, like, literally since I was a kid, though, so if it works, it works. For a second, I almost clicked 10. I don't know why. Yeah, now it's gonna end. Yep. So I got 21 out of 25, which is the best score I've gotten, obviously, because I increased by 1. Well, that was the Bible. I'm kidding. Obviously, that's not like the whole Bible. But that's all I feel like doing today. I think this is really fun. Obviously, it's like a pretty low quality game that someone made, likely with RenPy or RenPy, like I said last time, because I recognize this layout. I've made games that look like this. Um, Obviously, this is like a pretty quick and easy game where they just took, you know, translations of the Bible they had the license for and popped it in, made some trivia. The trivia itself is good. Honestly, what I like, my favorite part about this isn't the trivia, actually, it's the search. I have used this to find if I know something specific was talked about in the Bible, and I want to look at like all the times it was brought up. Sometimes I search with this game because it makes it easy. Like here's just a bunch of stuff about eunuchs, which I actually did look up all instances of eunuch for a class I was teaching at my church about gender and sexuality. Um, but I find this game actually really helpful and really fun, and I do plan to to keep play to keep playing the trivia. Oh, I did not mean to do that. um, I do plan to keep playing the trivia. But like I can tell this app is literally just like, hey, we acquired the rights, or with some of them you don't need to acquire the rights, like the King James. But it's like, hey, we acquired the rights to a certain translation of the Bible, so I'm just gonna slap that into a visual novel maker, and then allow people to search the dialogue and whatever. The annotation thing is cool, and the trivia thing is cool, and the search thing is cool. The Bible thing itself, though, I mean, I have like 14 or 15 physical Bibles in my room because I have a problem, and I also have a Bible on my phone, a Bible app on my phone that I carry everywhere. So like, I'm never gonna come sit down at my computer to read the Bible. Um, I mean, I'm gonna have to click through it to unlock some of the trivia, but I don't know. I guess if someone didn't have motivation on their own to read the Bible, like they really only wanted to do it as a game, um, this would help that you have to read through the chapters then they do the trivia, because that might inspire them to read through the chapters and try to learn them and memorize them so that they can play the game. But I have my own like external motivation to try to read through the Bible and memorize it, which is just that's something I want to do, and it's something I've been working on for a while. So the fact that I have to read through the chapters on here to unlock the games do frustrate me, because I just want to play it as trivia, because like, oh, I already read the Bible, let me play my silly game, you know. I don't know. I think this is a really fun thing. When I bought it, it was like $5, so... Oh, it did not like me doing that. Oh, fiddle. Well, I was just trying to go to the main menu. I did not realize what I was doing. I'd recommend this to others. Thank you so much for watching. like I said earlier, comment your favorite letter Paul wrote, because I will read it and I'm happy to talk with you about it. I really want to learn about him, and I really want to read his letters. I hope you all have a lovely day, and if any of you have played this game, let me know how you feel about it, because like I said, I think it's really cool, but I get frustrated by some things. I hope you have a great day. I love you all, and so does God. Bye.